Welcome to another episode on our channel. I had every intention of making the next video the video for the drawer. Change of plan. I think I figured out how to attach this to the bench without going crazy with, I don't know, with screws or ugly Velcro, or I even considered a rare earth magnet, all of which would have distracted from the look of the bench and would have, basically driven her crazy. Previous video, in case you didn't catch it, in order to get this to fit into this vise here, I chopped it off. It used to look kind of like that. There it is. Used to look kind of like that, but the bench is not tall enough to tolerate, the screw and the clamp and all this. So I chopped it off. I chopped it off just where I thought it would look good and also fit into here. But this is on its way out. She wants this gone. At least she thinks she does. It may be back, but for now, she wants it gone. So how to attach the vise to the wood. So here's what I come up with. I think it'll work. I don't know. If not, I will fail spectacularly on camera. So let's get rid of this part for the time being. So this is going to fit here on the end. It won't fit here because a drawer will be here, will be flush with, with this part here. It just so happened, remember I said I was going to keep this thing because I haven't given up on clamping. I'm glad I kept it. Here's why. So let me pitch that and get rid of this. Now this isn't going to make a lot of sense because the weird angles and a couple of cuts I have to make. So bear with me while I try to explain it. What I'm going to do is, see, this is what I have now. I'm going to cut it so that this vertical part here is gone. So all that will be left is just this horizontal part here. However, I didn't measure it. Looking at it's about 3/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit more. I'm also going to get rid of the circle part of what, well, for you, kind of looks like a D. I'm going to get rid of the circle part. So only the very vertical part will remain. Now, the question is why? Well, here's why. And it's just pure dumb luck. This attached to this, the gap in between that you see here, if I attach it flush mounted like this, or flush, this gap that you see, well, sort of see, like I said, this is not good showing on camera. Anyway, not perfect, but you see that there's a gap. Well, this gap that you see here just happens to be the same width of this board. I mean, within a millimeter. I think it's about 0.5 millimeter wider. The gap is 0.5 millimeter wider than the board, which is a good thing. So if I'm right and I glue this to here, all she'll have to do is maybe a little wiggly, just slide this thing on. Now it's fairly deep. It'll slide fairly deep. In fact, I may even have to move the legs in a fraction of an inch. But just friction is going to hold it on. And remember, she's just doing heads and torsos and, just small things. It's not like, it's not like she's sharpening the lawnmower blade on it, if you know what I mean. There's not going to be a lot of torque on it. So I'm going to go out into the garage. I'm going to take a Japanese pole saw and chop this in 2 places, come back. I may or may not glue this on camera. I don't know if I'm that brave or not. Plus, Crazy Glue doesn't have a lot of working time. And so if I'm angling
to get things where you can see it, and I'm not fast enough, the crazy glue is going to sit and hold. And at least with the super glue that we have from Loctite, it loves plastic. So there's not a lot of work, seconds. But anyway, I'm not going to show you chopping this off. That's boring. But regardless, I'll be back in a blink of an eye for you with this chopped as I said I was going to. All right, I'm back. It didn't quite go as planned. It didn't go wrong. It just didn't go as planned because until I made the cut, there's little subtleties about the way that this thing is constructed that I just simply couldn't see. So I did get rid of the D, well, from your angle, the curved part of the D. But I decided not to get rid of the vertical part. And I'll tell you why in a second. I also had to, so that it would fit in like this with the current separation of the legs, I had to cut the thread off. So that's a full 1/2 inch. So this will never be used on this vise, and that's okay. I'm sure she'll find a use for it somewhere down the road. So otherwise, putting this in, I would have had to move each leg in so that they're symmetrical 1/2 inch. That would have been a full inch less of drawer space that we would have had, and she didn't like it. Didn't like the way it might have looked if the legs had moved in 1/2 inch. It's very subtle but noticeable. So what's the plan? You can see here, and I didn't pay attention. This I saw. I just didn't pay attention to it. There's a little, maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. Got a little delay on my monitor here. So it's not perfectly straight across. There's a little dip, little divot. There's a big divot here, as you can see. Bottom line, I'm going to have far fewer points of contact when I glue this thing to here, because it's only going to glue here and here. That's not much. That's not very secure using crazy glue. There is a giant space, as you can see, not the great big one, but the smaller one there, right? Right about there. I hadn't counted on that. That's a lot of space that is not glued. So the bottom line is there's not going to be hardly any contact with the crazy glue, and as good as crazy glue is on plastic, I don't trust it. So what I'm going to do, we're going to take a real quick break. I'm going to put a little dab of crazy glue here, a little bit here, and perhaps here and here, just on the edges. Stick the sucker together so that it's, use this as a base, so that it is kind of about that much space. That'll be enough for me for demonstration purposes, to slide it on as called a proof of concept. What I'll do, and I won't make you suffer through it, because stuff takes, stuff I have, it take better part of an hour to dry. And they recommend it's epoxy, and they recommend not stretching it for 24 hours. But if I do crazy glue here, I can slide it on, show you that it's a proof of concept that it works, hopefully. It's going to be a real tight fit here. And then just call it a day here with the episode. And then tomorrow, when I'm a little bit more awake, I'll fill in the, not this gap, but the small gap that will be created here with epoxy, and it won't go anywhere. This is made for plastic and resin. It's the same stuff that we used, oh heavens, with the Dune character. Remember, it's one of her few 1/4 scales figures. If you're curious, she bought the Dune figure. It arrived, and the arm was broken nicely, cleanly. In fact, we didn't know it was a break. We thought it came that way until we realized that it was a break. But anyway, the epoxy that I'm going to use on this is the same stuff that we used on that. And that arm is still there, and it's probably the strongest part of the statue, to be honest with you. But anyway, I digress and over-explain things, as my wife will tell you that I'm very prone to doing. So we'll take a break. I'll glue this thing up, let the crazy glue set a few minutes, then show you that, hopefully show you, if I got the spacing right, that it will slide on. So we'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I can't believe I'm doing this in front of you guys. One thing I'm very grateful for that I didn't do it live in front of you guys is super glue really does set up really fast. And I didn't get my thumb out of the way. So I managed to glue my thumb to the label of the bottle. That would have been fun to show you guys. But yeah, if you ever wondered why skin adheres so quickly to any kind of super glue, it's because of the moisture in the skin. So if you ever need two pieces joined together very quickly, not even wet, just not even damp, just a little bit of moisture on both pieces, super glue, and it's stuck forever. All right, so the moment all 5 of you have been waiting for. Does it fit? And okay, it's a little snug. A little snug on one side, actually. Yeah, there we go. It does. It's a little. Here, let me get this thing off. It's gripping a little. Let me get my hand out of the way. It is gripping a little bit more right here than it is right here. So it's either a difference in the thickness of the board, or I got it slightly off in terms of gluing. I don't know, maybe a combination of both. I don't know. I can't tell. It looks awful. It looks awful square here, but it's a little too snug. That's okay. I'll take a rasp or even just sandpaper actually, and just knock off that little edge that's providing more resistance and comfortable. But it's not going anywhere. I mean, it's there forever. And so she'll have her southpaw articulated workstation. It will not suck in terms of looks relative. So it's not perfect. It's a workaround. I don't even like the word hack, but it's a hack. But it works. One thing I think I will do, remember I told you there's not a lot of point of contact there with the glue. I mentioned I'll fill in this narrow slot here, but then I got to thinking I need to put something, there's a lot of points of contact here. So if you will, excuse me, remember these things that I use for the padding, I'll pop the gray off. Probably won't use the gray. I'll use the white plastic instead, and basically put a cap on it, and that should keep it together. So it's not in here to interfere with the sizing, but it's here, and I'll probably end up spray painting it gray first, just to make sure that she likes it. But it should fit on here nicely. I might have to trim it off in places, but it should be fine. So there you have it. This is pretty much it, the conclusion of our epic Dremel tool vise video. So there we go. Thanks for hanging around. I hope you've liked what you've seen. If you have, give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and be sure to hit the alert button too. Like I've said before, we try to do one episode per day. We don't always succeed, but we do try. And also hitting the alert button, my understanding, helps with YouTube's algorithm. But who the heck knows of YouTube? You know, anybody says they know how YouTube works probably doesn't have a channel on YouTube. So anyway, again, I hope you've liked what you've seen. If you have, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. And in the meantime, everyone, have a good day.